A recent study as well indicated that much of the global south, which requires your as I said, your let's say your secure internet service for both software and hardware, for example, only has between 5,000 to 10,000, but your global north is in excess of 20,000 secure internet servers. So you see at a global level that Europe, North America, countries in Australasia have the digital infrastructure that far outweighs what we currently have in the global south.
Hi, Yershen. Welcome to the IT Global Direction. My name is Rorisang, Hlahatsi-Baloyi. Yershen, please introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you in the world today? And what is the hot topic for today?
Well, good afternoon to you, Rorisang, and thank you for arranging this wonderful podcast. My name is Yershen Pillay, currently the CEO of the Chemical SETA, which is a sector education and training authority. We are based in Midrand, in the Gauteng province of South Africa. And the hot topic for today is how to bridge the digital divide, especially in developing countries such as South Africa.
Could you explain to our viewers, Yershen, what is digital divide so that we all understand the concept?
Well, the concept of a digital divide is really about access. It's about where you have differences in both access to or success in terms of digital technologies. Could be digital infrastructure, could be access to data, Wi-Fi networks. And really what happens is that it could also be digital skills, for example. So when you have these differences, they lead to inequalities. And these inequalities could be digital inequalities, but they also create a knowledge gap. And this is what we really then define as this sort of digital divide where, you have the haves and the have-nots, but at a digital level.
And Yershen, where do we see these playing out? You mentioned that in South Africa, you have actually realized these. Do you have any specific examples of where you've seen these playing out? And what are these gaps actually causing? Any negative outcomes of this digital divide?
Well, there's cases across industries, across various sectors, one of them being the education sector. So data from Stats SA indicated that your internet penetration in public schools was 20%, for example. So we're talking about the fourth industrial revolution, and yet 80% of our schools do not have access. They do not have secure internet service, for that matter. And so this is some of the, whether it be in educational settings, if you look at your public schools, whether you look at your TVET colleges or higher education institutions, where we really see the data really telling us that, the infrastructure is non-existent, or that there's differences in terms of, the data, the access to data, the Wi-Fi networks. A recent study as well indicated that much of the global south, which requires your as I said, your let's say your secure internet service for both software and hardware, for example, only has between 5,000 to 10,000, but your global north is in excess of 20,000 secure internet servers. So you see at a global level that Europe, North America, countries in Australasia have the digital infrastructure that far outweighs what we currently have in the global south. And these are just some examples, and the one that I've given you now is in the education space.
Yeah, and how do you foresee countries that are going through the same gaps, closing those gaps? Do you have any solutions in mind that you can maybe share with other countries that are also going through the same thing?
Absolutely, and I think this is where we've seen countries like South Korea and Taiwan have surveys being conducted, what they call your household surveys that measure digital or measure household income inequalities, digital inequalities. poverty for that matter.
Mhm.
So these countries are actually firstly making an assessment of what is the level of digital inequality or access to the internet or computer use amongst citizens. And then based on that assessment, they're devising a digital future. Also, they're devising national policies on digitalization, and really, ensuring access, especially to rural communities for that matter. So I think what is really required is a more sort of concerted effort, really from both public sector to provide an enabling environment and place your legislation, your policies, and your regulations, and then the private sector as well. So you have this collaboration that needs to take place. But fundamentally, it starts by having a clear strategy, a clear digital vision, where we understand, what is the digital vision for the country? How are we going to bridge this digital divide between urban and rural, youth and elderly? We often talk about the youth, but you cannot have a smart city that excludes the elderly, for example.
Yeah, true.
And then you have a digital divide between the youth and the elderly. So yes, you can focus on youth, absolutely. But at the same time, how do you ensure that your elderly meaningfully participate? If they know how to use a device and they know how to use the applications on that device. And so you've got to have policies in place for integrating both your youth and your elderly into smart city concepts, for example.
Yeah, and Yershen, you've raised very important points. Contribution to the economy because you are digitally savvy. Do you have examples on how would this positively contribute to the country's economy if everyone is digitally savvy?
No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've seen how, for example, you have these microeconomies. We just launched a smart food program in Tembisa, in Madrid, around Madrid, Gauteng area. Now, what we've seen as a result of that, and so what you have is sort of these micro enterprises that provide Wi-Fi at 80 Rand a month. And you have these local SMMEs who then use what's called an application, a MAPA app, to then as a distribution channel to find out, where's the hotspots to go and sell, a meal for 35 Rand, maybe to a local taxi drivers, or create opportunities for a memorial service or wherever it may be.
Yeah.
And what they've done is they've created this sort of digital ecosystem and a microeconomy where the one household procures Wi-Fi, for maybe 14 Rand a month. That same household buys from the smart food vendor for a meal for 35 Rand a month. And they're all using a digital network called MAPA, which then to trade. So you see that once someone actually has basic digital skills, capabilities, competencies, they're able to then access the device, access the technology. And in this case, you have the food industry working together with, and these are gas-powered industries, gas-powered food carts, together with, a household that actually supplies Wi-Fi to the neighbor next door. And this is happening in the community of Tembisa. So imagine if this is happening throughout the country. What could be the impact on economic growth and development for that?
Well, thank you so much, Yershen, for your views today. We've learned quite a lot. I myself have always looked at digital divide from a youth perspective, but you also raised another important point that we also need to look at the age perspective, where other people don't necessarily have these technologies due to age or understand how these technologies work due to age. You also highlighted that South Africa is not the only country that is going through this. So some of your views today can actually be used by other countries that are also at the same developing level as South Africa. You also indicated how important is to close this digital divide because it can actually contribute to the country's economy in a positive way, where now people are simplifying how they operate in their micro markets and micro businesses to actually operate in a more smarter way, more simpler, and actually reaching other markets with technology. And thank you so much. Did I cover everything that you raised today? You highlighted very important points, and I don't want to miss out any important point that you raised today.
No, thanks for that excellent summary, Rorisang, quite comprehensive. I think the only point I could really just stress and emphasize, if I may, as a closing remark, is that digital literacy skills, digital skills, is really quite going to be the key enabler for bridging the digital divide. And so one of the things we're looking at is smart skill centers being constructed in rural communities to help both the youth and the elderly to improve on their digital literacy skills, their digital competencies. And I think if we focus on growing our talent and talent economy for that matter, this could be a key factor, a key driver of not just bridging the digital divide, but also for creating jobs and also more sustainable SMMEs in the future.
Well, in closing out, that I actually align with. I wanted to ask you, to our viewers today who are already digitally savvy and can be used to support you in running this initiative that you're embarking on, where you're sharing knowledge with people that are not currently digitally savvy. Is there anything that you can inform them or tell them how to get hold of you in order to support you on some of these initiatives that you focused on?
So we use a 5-partner collaboration model, what we try and do is we don't really offer direct support. We offer support to institutions and organizations. So if you are an institution organization, you can certainly apply for a discretionary grant, which we advertise 3 times a year. The next window we're opening in April. This window will be open for 4IR initiatives. So one could certainly apply through that window on our website, www.cheetah.org.za, and that would be the portal that we use for applications on 4IR initiatives that you can certainly apply.
All right, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. I'll maybe try out myself as a digital person and see where I can help. But we do thank you so much for joining us today. And for our viewers, for other recordings that we've had in the past, please go to www.itglobaldirection.com and be able to follow or request an interview. But from you, Yershen, thank you so much. We've had an informative conversation, and we do appreciate your views today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rorisang.